Hello folks, and welcome back to my channel. We are here in the studio today with a very fun and funny video inspired by some conversations that I had with some clients this week. I would like to talk to you about some of the gross piercing realities that really aren't mentioned that much online. Because listen, when we are getting pierced and we're doing piercings and we're living with piercings in a body. And bodies do gross things sometimes. We've all been sick, we've all had pimples, we've all had weird wounds. We know that bodies can be kind of funky. And there's elements of this with piercing that are like a given once you're more pierced and once you're in the industry and once you have certain piercings, but aren't spoken about as frequently these days as I feel like it used to be, particularly on BME. Like on IM, I feel like you could see a lot of really honest descriptions of like what it was like living with certain piercings. And nowadays, most people are getting their piercing information on like TikTok and Instagram, and people are not coming on Instagram and being like, here's this disgusting thing that my piercing does sometimes. So I am going to take on the burden of shame, and we're going to talk about stuff that piercings do that's gross. Here are my top 5 gross piercing things in no particular order. The first, and this is one that I make jokes with my clients about all the time, is that when we have a piercing, we've had it for a while, it's healed, we decide we don't want it, we take jewelry out, we don't want to wear it anymore, something happens, we decide to remove jewelry. Sometimes that hole doesn't fully close. Sometimes that hole is still there. And sometimes this is a positive. People come in and they're like, oh, I'm gonna have to get this like earlobe re-pierced. It's closed up, I haven't had jewelry in it for many years. And I'm like, congratulations, good news, you actually don't have to get it re-pierced. I can reopen it for you. That hole is still there. It just has shrunken pretty teeny tiny, but I'm gonna be able to get it back in. The flip side of that phenomenon is that hole is still there, and it is a hole. So if there's nothing in it, other things can get in it. Sweat, dirt, oil, dead skin cells, lotion, face wash, body wash, moisturizer, shower products, body paint, body glitter, anything that you're putting on your body or near the piercing, which means sometimes that stuff can get in that hole and then your body can be pretty irritated by it. Your body might be like, I don't want this piece of body glitter in this weird hole that I have somewhere on my body. And so then your body does what it's supposed to do and wants to push whatever is in that hole out. And so old piercing holes that you have retired or taken out can sometimes fill up with gunk, with dead skin cells, with sebum, and basically become like a sore pimple almost that you can like pop and drain or get stuff out of. Many folks may remember the time period when I had little anchors under my eyes. I had those for 8 years. I really love them. I miss them. One of these days I'll probably bring them back. But the little pockets where those were from 8 years ago, probably every like 4 or 6 months, I'll get a pretty gnarly, it feels like a pimple. And it's basically, these little pockets are now functioning just like a big pore. And I'll have to squeeze a bunch of schmutz out of it. I know so many clients who are like, yeah, I haven't worn this like third lobe in years, but I have to like squeeze stuff out of it every now and again. It'll get sore or inflamed and there'll be like pimple-like stuff in it. And that's a real thing that happens. And I see it happen on earlobes all the time. I see it happen from surface work all of the time. So if you're thinking about getting a surface piercing somewhere, know that that's a thing that can happen. I also really see it a lot with nipple piercings. I see it a lot when people decide to retire or take out their nipple piercings, or maybe there's an issue with healing, so they decide to take them out, and then they just have a hole that fills up with stuff that they have to drain every now and again. And that's a real thing that piercings do. And it's like a normal body thing, but it's still kind of gross and unpleasant when you're dealing with it. I can't do a video about gross piercing facts without talking about septum smell. Septum smell is a real thing. It's not as bad as the internet makes it out to be. There's been a lot of TikTok videos about this that make it seem like this really terrible thing. Technically, all healing wounds have a small odor. The smell of dead skin cells, dead white blood cells, lymphatic fluid, blood, if there's still an active scab, like all of those things have an odor. But we typically don't smell a paper cut on our finger or a skinned elbow or a piercing on our ear because it's not literally up our nose and the smell is relatively faint. Septum piercings are entirely up our nose, and we're far more sensitive to smell in that area. So we are able to smell our septum piercing as it's healing. It's not a particularly like overwhelming smell. It's not super gross or anything like that. It's just like one of those body smells. But that is a real thing. Like, there is a small odor to it. And even once a septum is very, very fully healed, if you aren't like cleaning the rings regularly, or let's say you get sick and you have a lot of mucus and boogers and stuff in your nose, you can kind of slightly smell that. Wearing high quality jewelry reduces this a lot. I see a lot of folks who complain about having a stronger septum odor, and they're usually wearing something pretty low quality. So wearing better quality pieces, you don't deal with that as much. But it's literally in your nose. So you can smell that. That's a real thing. That's not an urban legend. That's not a rumor. It makes sense. It's up your nose, but still not something that everyone considers, something to be mindful of with that piercing, and just an honest body fact. So speaking of cleaning your jewelry regularly, and cleaning your jewelry to make sure that things stay clean and hygienic with your septum, the same goes for any jewelry you wear in an area that is prone to like collecting moisture, buildup, secretions, things like this. So on oral piercings, it's really important that folks clean off tartar and plaque and buildup from the inside of the mouth. And that makes sense. You know, you have to brush your teeth, you have to clean and maintain inside your mouth. Of course, if you have a piercing in your mouth, you have to clean and maintain that too. But the other area where we see piercings really exposed to this is genital piercings. And so that does mean that you do want to make sure you're cleaning your jewelry fully. And this doesn't go for like while it's healing. I really think this is more for like healed piercings. While the piercing's healing, just worry about it healing. But once it's fully healed, you do want to clean and maintain your jewelry and make sure that you're cleaning away any residue, any buildup, anything like that. And if you are not consistent with that, unfortunately, like in some of the nooks and crannies and crevices of body jewelry, you can end up with some not great build up there that can be pretty unhygienic. I see this the most, this is just me being honest here, with penile genital piercings, in particular those that bisect the urethra, so like a Prince Albert or an apodravia or an ampelang, where people don't always very thoroughly clean the ring or the jewelry they're wearing. And when a piercing is transurethral, it's coming in contact with a lot of urine. And if you aren't just every now and again really cleaning that jewelry up in the shower, or like if when you see your piercer being like, hey, when you give the ring like a deep clean for me while I'm here. I've had some folks come in, it's usually a captive bead ring. They've usually been wearing it for many years. They go ahead and pop that bead out, and I can tell that they have not, in all of those many years, done much thorough cleaning of that ring and just kind of assumed that it was probably fine, and it's not. Now this is where wearing high quality jewelry makes a really big difference. Really high quality pieces are going to have what's known as a countersink. So there's a little space in the end of the bead that kind of bites down on the barbell or the circular, or in the instance of a captive, it has like a really secure connection with the ring. So there's far fewer places for that debris to build up. You still want to keep them clean, but it's a lot easier to keep a high quality piece clean because it's just designed not to have those little gaps. But not everyone wears high quality jewelry or wants to invest in high quality jewelry. So I regularly have clients come in who are wearing lower quality pieces, random stuff off the internet. And I tell you what, I have unscrewed a barbell out of a PA and just seen like 3 years worth of crusted urine and smegma and other things built up in the threading and around that bead. And it's really gross. And every time you're with your partner, that's going in people's mouths and people's bodies, and you got to keep that stuff clean. And that's also why wearing high quality jewelry makes such a big difference, because it's designed to be worn long term. People really spend a lot of time inspecting these things under magnification to make sure that there's no little nooks or crannies or gaps for that stuff to collect. Or if there are, through necessity of the piece, like you have like a bezel set stone, so of course the edge of the bezel can get stuff built up in it. They're so well made that it's easy to clean away with just like 3 minutes and a shower. The lower quality pieces don't have that same care put into it. And even if you wear a really high quality piece, you should still clean your jewelry in the shower when you clean the rest of your body. That might be the grossest fact, is the amount of like urine encrusted beads I have removed from genital piercings. But it's really easy to clean and maintain that. You just make it a part of your showering routine once the piercing is healed, and you wear high quality jewelry so that happens less. This gross piercing fact is maybe I'm gonna tell on myself. Maybe this is unique to me. Maybe there are other people who have this life experience, but I have a stacked septum. So I've got a bunch of different rings in one little stretched channel. And I love it. I think it's super cute. I think it's super fun. It was a way of stretching where I didn't have to deal with a bunch of denting or discomfort with stretching my septum. But I'm also someone who gets nosebleeds very easily, usually in the winter months when we switch to radiator heat in a lot of the buildings in Seattle, and the air is just so dry and my sinuses are just so sensitive, and my humidifier at home is working its hardest but can only do so much. So I get nosebleeds very easily. And I'm gonna tell you right now, having 12 individual rings in your septum, some of which are very decorative and have lots of little nooks and crannies around gemstones and jewelry. I even wear this piece, the Otherworldly from People Hall, in my septum very often. These pieces after a nosebleed, I'm just gonna call myself out right now, disgusting, super gross. I can't believe I'm gonna call myself out on Maine like this, but I was camping in the woods with my partner, and we did a little like play piercing moment, ritual experience out in the nature. We both just took a couple forehead needles and did a little bleed and had a really nice, lovely time. And of course, my forehead tends to be quite bleedy, so I bled like all down my face, my nose, everything. And we're out camping. We have supplies to do this safely. We're both trained outdoor suspension facilitators, but you only have so many supplies. So whatever, we did this, we cleaned up all the blood, we went back to hang out. And the next morning, my partner's looking at me and he's like, I really like your new septum ring. I don't think I've seen you wear that one before. I think I only just noticed it today. And I was like, I haven't changed any of my septum jewelry in months. So like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, no, like the garnets are so pretty. And I was like, the garnets? I don't think I own anything with garnets. So I went to the rear view mirror of the car to look at it. This man let me go to bed, let me spend the next couple of hours of our trip with blood so caked in my Otherworldly clicker from People Hall that he thought they were garnets. Listen, the second I got home, I water picked my entire stack very thoroughly, got all of that shit cleaned out. I certainly don't bring a water pick with me camping in the woods, but yeah, septum stacks and nosebleeds, or even just a really, really gnarly cold or really bad allergy season where your nose is really runny. It's a time. It's an experience. It's a moment, and it's a little bit gross. And then my last gross piercing fun fact is we talk a lot about jewelry quality and like what is safe for people to wear, and acrylic jewelry is something that comes up all of the time. I think at this point, most people know that acrylic is not a quality material. It's not something you should be wearing in your body long term. Microplastics are bad. Literally wearing plastic through a hole in your body 24/7 is very bad for you. Like, that makes sense. But what people don't talk about is the way that plastic like breaks down and sometimes disintegrates over time. I see people come in all the time wearing like Bioplast and Bioflex, and they're all like, oh, well, I wear Bioplast because like it's so much safer for me. And I will take out this piece of jewelry that is rock hard and like yellowish or brownish and like pitted, and I can see where the plastic is breaking down from long-term wear and just leaching microplastics into your body. But the worst is those little externally threaded acrylic beads. I sometimes see people come in with them and they're like, yeah, I like lose beads all the time. And so like, I'm like gonna get metal jewelry because I'm tired of it. And I'll look and I'll be like, oh, sweetie, you're not losing your beads. Like, they're not coming unscrewed. They're literally disintegrating. Like, they're breaking down so much that the bead isn't coming unscrewed and falling off. The bead itself is literally breaking. and like crumbling into pieces. And I have had people come in where like just touching the bead very gently to start to unscrew it, the bead just like breaks into 12 pieces in my fingers, because the plastic is so worn down from everyday wear and showering and bathing and cleaning and all of this stuff. And I'm like, you're wearing this in contact with your body all of the time. And this is just this like Swiss cheese, hard as a rock, started off flexible and clear piece of plastic is now hard, full of holes and pits and crazes and like yellow or brown. That to me actually might be the grossest one, because it's just like, what is that leaching into your body the whole time? Like, what is happening that you are literally like disintegrating acrylic beads every couple of months? You're not losing them. They're literally like breaking apart into microplastics and acrylic dust. And I see it quite often. And then I'm very polite about it, but I'm like, hey, so like, this is why we don't recommend wearing acrylic jewelry. And like, I'm not saying this to judge you, but like, here's what it looks like now after being in your body. And like, that's not great. And we should maybe get you something better. This was so fun. I actually, as I'm sitting here, have like 6 or 7 more gross things I feel like I could talk about, but this video is already almost 20 minutes long, and it was supposed to be a silly one. So I guess if people like this, we could do a gross piercing facts part 2. But I just wanted to come in here and talk about some of the realities of having piercings and being modified, and things that I as a professional piercer see, and things that I live with my own piercings, that are kind of gross. And that people are oftentimes not stoked to talk about, but I think we should talk about so that other people can make informed decisions about what they want to do with their body. So this has been a gross piercing PSA. Clean your jewelry, especially clean your dick jewelry. Don't wear acrylic body jewelry. Take care of yourself. Thanks so much for sitting down and chatting, and I can't wait to see you all again next week. Bye.